Have you ever wondered if too much masturbation could actually damage your body? Maybe even leave you unable to perform when it truly matters? It's a question I hear whispered more often than you'd imagine, never shouted, never joked about, just hidden behind quiet fear. Men come into my office every week, eyes down, voice low, asking the same thing: did I ruin myself? That fear is heavy. It's not vanity. It's the terror of losing something deeply tied to identity, confidence, and connection. And I understand why it feels so serious, because when your body stops responding the way it used to, it can shake your sense of who you are. But here's what I tell every man who asks that question: you are not broken. Your body isn't shutting down. It's communicating. What you think is dysfunction is often your system doing exactly what it was built to do. Over the years, I've seen a clear pattern in men of every age. After ejaculation, there's a recovery cycle, a kind of biological reset. In your 20s, that reset can take minutes. In your 40s, it can take hours. In your 70s, sometimes weeks. It's not failure, it's design. Your hormones shift, your nervous system switches gears, and your body simply asks for rest before it performs again. The tragedy is that no one ever explains this. So instead of trusting the rhythm, men panic. They push harder, stress more, and mistake recovery for dysfunction. And that panic, it's what truly damages confidence. There's a simple rule that can change everything once you understand it. A rhythm I call the 20-20-20-90 rule. It reveals exactly how your recovery window evolves with age and why honoring it can restore both your performance and your peace of mind. Because when you know how your body really works, anxiety fades, confidence comes back, and what once felt like weakness suddenly becomes wisdom. So let's talk honestly about what's really happening after orgasm, the chemistry, the timing, the reason your body presses, pause, and how understanding that pause can be the key to lasting strength, not the end of it. Most men who come to see me don't walk in because of pain. They walk in because of panic. They've convinced themselves that years of masturbation have somehow used up their strength, that they've broken something that can't be fixed. I can see it the moment they sit down. The guilt, the confusion, the fear that they've done permanent damage. But here's what I want every man to understand. Masturbation by itself does not cause erectile dysfunction. Not biologically, not chemically, not even psychologically, unless it's tangled with shame. There isn't a single credible medical study linking normal masturbation frequency to lasting erectile failure. In fact, several reviews, including one from the Journal of Sexual Medicine, show that moderate self-stimulation can even help men learn body control and reduce anxiety during real intimacy. So why do so many men still feel weaker after doing it? Because what they're really noticing isn't damage, it's recovery. Their body is pressing pause, not shutting down. Think of it like this. After orgasm, your brains go, hormones, mainly dopamine, drop sharply while prolactin rises. That shift tells your nervous system, mission accomplished, time to rest. Blood flow changes, heart rate slows, and the body literally moves from a state of performance to a state of repair. It's the same way your muscles feel tired after a workout. They're not broken, they're rebuilding. But because no one ever explains this to men, that pause feels like failure. They try to perform again right away, but the body hasn't recharged yet. The more they push, the more anxious they get. And anxiety. That's the real killer of erections. I've seen this pattern hundreds of times. A man in his 30s comes in terrified that he's lost his spark, but when we test his hormones and circulation, everything is perfectly normal. What he's experiencing is simply his body saying, "Give me time." And that's where the real misunderstanding begins. It's not about the act itself, it's about what happens after it. That post-orgasm window, that mysterious moment when desire fades and confidence dips. That's where most men misread the signals, because what comes next, the recovery phase, isn't dysfunction. It's biology working in your favor. If you've ever wondered why recovery time seems to stretch longer with every decade, the answer lies in a pattern so simple and so overlooked that it can change the way you think about performance forever. The real mystery begins after the climax. That quiet moment when desire suddenly drops and everything inside you slows down, that's not failure. That's the reset button of your biology. Here's what actually happens beneath the surface. The instant orgasm ends, your brain's reward system flips direction. Dopamine, the same chemical that fuels excitement, motivation, and confidence, plummets. At the same time, prolactin rises sharply. Prolactin's job is simple but powerful. It tells your brain, we've completed the mission. Stand down. That signal shuts off the circuits responsible for arousal and keeps them offline until the body has rebalanced its chemistry. Your blood vessels relax, your nervous system shifts gears, and every organ involved in arousal goes into cool-down mode. I've watched men describe this moment with frustration, but if you could see it through a lab lens, it's actually brilliant. Your body is protecting its systems, preventing overload. Think of it as your internal do not disturb mode of safeguard built into your nervous system. And yes, it's measurable. Studies from the International Journal of Impotence Research show that prolactin levels can spike up to 400% immediately after ejaculation, and it may take hours for those levels to settle. During that window, arousal is chemically impossible, not because you're broken, but because your biology insists on recovery first. When I explain this in my clinic, the reaction is always the same relief. Men realize there's nothing wrong with them. Their body is simply following its blueprint. But here's the twist no one expects: that recovery time isn't fixed. It stretches and changes with age. In your 20s, prolactin clears fast and dopamine bounces back almost instantly. By your 40s, that rebound slows. And by your 70s, it can take days for the chemistry to reset. That's why one man can recover in 20 minutes, while another may need 20 hours. Same mechanism, different tempo. It's biology's way of syncing energy with age. When men don't understand this rhythm, they fight it. They chase performance before their body is ready, flooding their system with stress hormones like cortisol, which only makes recovery longer. But once they work with their body instead of against it, everything changes. Confidence, stamina, even emotional connection. This is where things get fascinating, because once you understand how your recovery rhythm evolves, you can start predicting it and protecting it. And that's where the 20-20-20-90 rule comes in. It's simple, it's scientific. And for most men, it's the missing link between frustration and freedom. Every man's recovery rhythm follows a pattern, a rhythm so consistent that once you see it, you'll never mistake recovery for dysfunction again. I call it the 20-20-20-90 rule, and it's the simplest way to understand how the body's recovery window changes through time. I discovered this pattern after years of talking with patients. They came from every background imaginable: soldiers, executives, teachers, newlyweds, widowers. But when we mapped their experiences, the curve looked almost identical. Age didn't just change energy, it rewired the timing of arousal, rest, and readiness. Let's start where nature begins: your 20s. At that age, recovery can take about 20 minutes. Testosterone is at its peak, nitric oxide pathways are wide open, and blood vessels respond like fresh elastic. When a man in his 20s says he can go again almost instantly, he's not exaggerating, his biology is sprinting. It's the hormonal equivalent of a sports car engine, powerful, quick, but also easy to over-rev. I sometimes remind younger patients that what feels limitless now is actually their baseline chemistry, not proof of superhuman stamina. And believing that this speed will last forever is the seed of future anxiety, because when it slows down, they'll think something's wrong, even when everything is working perfectly. Fast forward 20 years. By your 40s or 50s, recovery often stretches to around 20 hours. Testosterone has declined roughly 1% per year. After age 30, blood vessel flexibility is lower, and nitric oxide production drops by almost 25% compared to your 20s. Most men notice they still feel desire, but performance takes longer to restart. It's not weakness, it's recalibration. One of my patients, Mark, 48 years old, told me I used to feel ready again the same night. Now it takes until the next day, and it scares me. When we ran his labs, everything was normal. What had changed was his expectation, not his biology. Once he understood that 20-hour rhythm, the anxiety melted away, and so did the pressure he'd been putting on himself and his partner. Then comes the 70s, when recovery can extend to about 20 days. At first, that sounds alarming, but physiologically, it makes perfect sense. Circulation slows, hormone reserves shrink, and the body prioritizes repair over repetition. It's like an athlete who now needs full recovery between games. Men in this stage often rediscover intimacy in a new way, slower, more intentional, more connected. The focus shifts from performance to presence, and that shift can be deeply freeing. And for those lucky enough to reach their 90s, the final number in the pattern 90 becomes symbolic. It's not just days, it represents grace. At that age, recovery can take weeks, but desire never truly disappears. The body adapts, intimacy transforms, and love itself becomes the new form of performance. What surprises most men is how predictable this curve is. You can almost set your watch by it. The body doesn't betray you with age, it simply changes its tempo. When you fight that tempo, frustration wins. When you honor it, confidence returns. I like to think of this rule as a kind of biological rhythm chart. 20 minutes, 20 hours, 20 days, and the grace of 90. It reminds men that recovery time isn't a countdown to decline. It's proof that the system still works, still protects, still evolves. Once you know this, you stop chasing your 20s and start mastering your biology instead. You stop asking, what's wrong with me, and start asking, what is my body trying to tell me? And here's where the real transformation begins. Because once you understand the pattern, you can shorten that recovery window naturally. How? By supporting the very systems that drive it: sleep, exercise, nutrition, and stress control. That's exactly what we'll talk about next, the everyday habits that turn this rhythm from a limitation into your greatest advantage. Every time I explain the 20 to 20 to 20-90 rule, I can almost see a light switch flick on behind a man's eyes. Relief, clarity, and then sometimes a shadow. Because understanding biology is one thing, accepting it is another. Most men don't battle their bodies, they battle their expectations. They compare themselves to who they were at 20 or worse, to a fantasy version of themselves that never really existed. When performance slows, they assume decline. When recovery stretches, they assume failure. And that silent conversation, the one that starts with, what's wrong with me, becomes louder than any medical diagnosis. I remember a patient who once whispered, "Doc, I feel like I've lost my masculinity." His labs were fine, his circulation was strong, but his self-talk was toxic. He tied his worth to his speed, not his strength. And when time changed, his rhythm shame took over. That's the cruel part. Shame can mimic disease. It raises cortisol, blocks nitric oxide, and hijacks arousal faster than any hormone ever could. Psychology and physiology dance together. When the mind panics, the body follows. Anxiety constricts blood flow. Guilt blunts desire. It's like trying to start a car while pressing the brake pedal. You can't force performance when fear is flooding the system. That's why the most important conversation isn't about pills or testosterone shots. It's about permission. Permission to rest, to recharge, to not perform on command. Because intimacy isn't just about readiness. It's about connection. When men stop seeing recovery as weakness, they rediscover something much deeper, confidence without pressure. I've seen relationships heal simply because both partners finally understood this. Instead of chasing the past, they worked with the present. Instead of counting failures, they counted moments, and slowly the fear faded. When the mind relaxes, the body follows. Stress hormones drop, blood vessels open, testosterone rebounds, and desire returns naturally, not forced, but invited. And that's where the real repair begins. Because while mindset is the spark, the fuel that keeps this rhythm strong comes from how you live every single day, how you sleep, move, eat, and breathe. That's what we'll explore next, the 4 daily habits that can turn biology into power and fear into freedom. When a man finally understands his body and releases the pressure in his mind, something incredible happens. His system starts to cooperate again. But knowledge alone doesn't heal. It's the small, consistent choices, the ones repeated quietly every single day, that rebuild performance and confidence from the inside out. The first and most powerful of those choices is sleep. Not just more sleep, but deeper protected sleep. Every night during those dark, silent hours, the body repairs micro-damage balances, hormones, and resets testosterone production. I've seen men come in exhausted, convinced they were losing their vitality, only to find their numbers rebound after fixing their sleep. Research from Harvard shows that just 1 week of poor sleep can slash testosterone levels by 15%. So when I say sleep is medicine, I mean it. A cool, dark room, no phone, no blue light. Let your body do its job while you rest. Movement comes next, not as punishment, but as circulation therapy. You don't need heavy weights or fancy equipment. Your heart just needs motion. A simple half-hour walk after dinner can do more for your vascular health than any supplement. I've watched men in their 60s regain energy they thought was gone forever simply by replacing one TV show with one evening walk. Blood flow is life, and every step you take keeps that life moving. Then comes the quiet discipline of how you eat. Forget extreme diets and miracle powders. What your body craves is balanced food that calms inflammation and fuels steady energy. Lean proteins, healthy fats, colorful vegetables, the same things your grandparents ate before food came in boxes. I once told a patient, if your meal can't rot in nature, it probably shouldn't live on your plate. He smiled, tried it, and 6 months later, his labs looked 10 years younger. And finally, the one most men overlook: stress. It's invisible, but it leaves fingerprints everywhere. Cortisol, the stress hormone, blocks. Testosterone tightens blood vessels and slows recovery. The fix doesn't start in a pill, it starts in a breath. 10 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing every day can lower blood pressure and calm the nervous system faster than most medications. Whether it's prayer meditation or simply sitting in silence, peace is performance fuel. When these 4 habits come together, real rest, movement, nourishment, and calm the body finds its rhythm again. Recovery shortens hormones, steady confidence returns. It's like tuning a musical instrument that had been slightly off for years, suddenly everything vibrates in harmony. And once that foundation is strong, something even more exciting becomes possible using nature itself to amplify those gains. Gentle, plant-based supports that enhance blood flow and balance hormones without overstimulation. That's the next chapter, and it's where biology finally becomes your ally, not your opponent. Once those daily foundations are solid, when sleep, movement, nutrition, and peace start working together, the body finally opens its doors again, and that's when natural support can make a real difference. I always remind my patients, supplements are not shortcuts. They're amplifiers. They work best when the engine beneath them is already running smoothly. The goal isn't to push your body harder, but to help it recover faster and function smarter. One of the most fascinating examples is L-citrulline, a natural compound found in watermelon. Inside the body, it converts to nitric oxide, the same molecule that helps your blood vessels relax and deliver oxygen efficiently. Studies have shown that L-citrulline can improve vascular flow and even support stronger, more reliable erections, not through stimulation, but by improving the highways your blood travels on. Then there's tonkat ali and fenugreek, two ancient herbs now backed by modern research. Both help the body restore healthy testosterone levels naturally, especially in men who struggle with stress-related hormonal dips. They don't override your system. They remind it what balance feels like. Another quiet hero is nettle root. It's often used to support prostate health, but it also frees up bound testosterone, allowing your body to use what it already produces more effectively. Combine that with L-carnitine, an amino acid that fuels your mitochondria, the energy engines of your cells, and you've built a support system that strengthens rather than overstimulates performance. When I talk about these ingredients, I'm not talking about magic. I'm talking about chemistry, natural compounds that work in harmony with your physiology instead of fighting against it. The key is consistency. Gentle daily support beats aggressive fixes every time. And when you pair that science with patience, when you let your body speak and you actually listen, something remarkable happens. Energy rises, clarity returns, and the same system that once frustrated you begins to reward you. That's the turning point I love witnessing in my patients, when fear is replaced by understanding and performance becomes the side effect of health. And that brings us to the final truth, the reminder that ties all of this together. Because recovery, rhythm, and vitality aren't separate stories. They're one conversation between you and your body. Let's finish it where it all began, with the truth about strength, age, and what it really means to be alive. So if there's one thing I hope you take from this, it's this: your body isn't betraying you. It's talking to you. The longer recovery, the slower rhythm. The moments of pause, they're not signs of weakness. They're signs of intelligence. Your system is adapting, protecting, and keeping you balanced. The best thing you can do is listen. Give yourself rest when you need it. Nourish your body with real food. Move every day, even just a little. And protect your peace, because a calm mind is the foundation of every healthy body. These small habits may look simple, but they're the key to staying strong, vital, and connected for decades to come. And please don't let fear or shame silence you. Every man goes through these changes, and understanding them is what turns worry into wisdom. You deserve to feel confident, alive, and in control, not anxious or uncertain. That's exactly why this channel exists, to help you learn, heal, and grow with real medical insight without judgment. If today's video helped you see your body in a new light, save it so you can come back to it later, especially on the days when self-doubt tries to speak louder than truth. And before you go, make sure to subscribe, tap the bell icon, and share this video with another man who might need to hear it. Because here, you're not just watching another health video. You're part of a community of men learning to understand respect and rebuild their strength the smart way. Take care of your body. Take care of your mind. And I'll see you in the next video where we keep unlocking the science of confidence and men's health, one truth at a time.